Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, that does it. The slow torture that was the 2023 season is officially over. The Yankees play their 162nd game and lose the weekend series against the Kansas City Royals. Again, this is a team 50 games under 500. Not that it really matters either way, but at least the good news that the Yankees do finish 82-80, so at least have the dignity of having their 31st consecutive winning season. If you want to put a feather on something, I guess that would be it. But again, drop the weekend series to the Kansas City Royals, 2-1 there. So we'll hop into this final weekend series there, and of course, after the game, some of the reporters went over to Judge's locker. He has a couple of interesting comments, so we're getting all that. So before we do, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. So long off season ahead, so maybe not as updated as frequently, but there will be enough frequent updates on this. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. We have the rest of the baseball season to go, and of course, a lot of decisions to be made with this team. Who should they trade? What free agency should they take? I'm sure there'll be some controversy, with Hal sending out his third-party consultants there, and they're kind of examining the Yankee team up and down, what information they're going to come back with. So a lot of good stuff to come in the off-season there, so the show's not going away. So make sure you're clued in, you're locked in. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening right now. Hit subscribe and get notified when new episodes go up. And you also want to check out the YouTube channel. Again, that's also going to be refreshed, even though baseball is finished. But again, the Yankees and baseball and other related topics too. Like I've been talking to a couple of guys involved in sports cards and designing displays for sports cards. So stay within the baseball realm, but there'll be a few things off topic. Maybe get a couple of book authors, people who've written baseball books, or just in general, so general baseball enthusiasm. So mixing all of that as well. So again, if you want to get all that stuff, make sure to subscribe here as well. Go to the YouTube channel, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe there as well. So the Yankees roll in here, the final weekend series against Kansas City. And this is, I'll say, of all the three games, I guess the worst part. I mean, you could say there's good things and bad things, but probably the biggest story of them all would be that first game, the Friday night game with Carlos Rodón, absolutely ineffective, getting his doors blown off, responsible for 9 runs in the first inning, could not record 1 out. With 34 pitches there, and not only is he terrible and ineffective, but also had a little issue with Matt Blake, the pitching coach came up for a mound visit, and it seemed his body language, you got to understand he was upset a little bit. He was kind of turning away from him, almost like turning his back halfway. I mean, you see how these guys, when the pitching coach comes out, usually everyone leans in, you put the glove over your mouth, you talk, you don't turn your body away. You almost never see that. So a little indiscretion by him, and of course Rodón after the game apologized for it, and it was even stated that possibly if this was during a more, I guess, if the season was a little bit more on line, they possibly would even fine him for this. But I guess with the game not meaning anything, I guess they just didn't want to bother doing that. But nevertheless, bad sign from Rodón. And if you go over to the YouTube channel, I also kind of did a little rant on this as well. But I guess I'll just share it here too, is that this guy's just been a little, obviously on the field stuff has been just a disappointment with the injuries, but the off the field stuff too. Just you saw the issue that he was getting booed by Yankee fans in Anaheim. He blew a kiss, and now you do this, and you kind of wonder about this guy's attitude. I was never really sure what his reputation was. What he's with the White Sox in San Francisco. Either way. And he came here, he was kind of a bit of a character guy, with the whole mustache and thing. But, you got to wonder, this guy, is this like a little bit of a malcontent? Does he have a little A.J. Burnett in him, where is this going to be moody a little bit? Or, remember Jack McDowell giving the Yankee fans the finger one time he was getting booed off the mound? Or someone like this Randy Johnson who just never really fit in here. So, you got to go wonder about this guy's attitude. Again, seems everybody kind of gets along with him, but I don't know. There might be something there with this guy. But again, the Yankees are stuck with him for another 5 years. And this game was pretty much over in the first inning. Now, the Yankees would have a little sign of life with a 3-run home run by Austin Wells, scored DJ and Judge there. Now, Wells would also have an RBI ground out a little later on, but of course, this game was going to, the Yankees never really mounted any sort of real legitimate comeback. And then later on, Bobby Witt Jr. with a home run pushed the Royals lead to 12-5, and then that would be your final score. But the story again is Carlos Rodón in his last start. You'd think maybe as bad as the season was, you want to kind of put a good impression on just at least going into the offseason, but no, this leaves a bad taste in the mouth, and it's just a miserable first season. I can't remember someone signing a big deal like that, $162 million, and hurt, ineffective, and just being overall terrible. And if you go to, again, the most recent YouTube episode You'll see I kind of break down his numbers there, and this again wasn't good in this season. 14 starts, 64 innings, an ERA almost of 7. It's just a complete disappointment. He only had maybe 2 or 3 games where you're like, all right, that's pretty good, but again, a miserable season for him, and he needs to turn around next year. So that'll be one of the issues that obviously the Yankees have to work on during the offseason. And then for the next game, it was a little bit enjoyable because the Yankees did fall in an early hole 2-0. Clark Schmidt made the start there. Now Schmidt only went 4 innings. But the Yankees down 2-0 in the 4th inning. Played a little small ball, so got RBI hits by Oswaldo Cabrera as well as Everson Pereira. Would eventually tie the game 2-2 at that point. And then in the 6th inning, Yankees again just doing with little baseball, contact hitting, just getting hits, simple stuff. Not trying to pull the ball and hit a 3-run or 2-run home run. Would also get some RBI hits from Estevan Florio as well as Gleyber Torres. Would push the Yankee lead up to 5-2, and that would be your final score. Yankees, again, a little comeback win there. And again, that's what you want to see, and that's what the Yankees have to get to towards next year. Again, you like the home runs, but a little this contact hitting baseball, just sitting the ball, over the second baseman's head or through the hole there. Again, not pulling the ball and then yanking yourself into a ground ball double play or swinging and missing and whiffing with runners on there. So good job there by the Yankees, and some future Yankees involved there. Of course, Cabrera and Florial, and of course Torres is here, we know, but again, he'll probably be back. Of course, he's going to be back next year as well. Even though he's been around here a while, he's still a young guy. Again, you want to see the young guys do that and contribute that, as well as Pereira. I mean, that's what you're looking for going into next season. With this Yankee team, more contact hitting there. So good, satisfying 5-2 win there. I guess the undercard of that game, though, was the one appearance by Frankie Montas. So he finally made it to the majors leagues. Now, he also stole a win here, which is it's not even fair to Clark Schmidt. So they took Schmidt out after 4 innings, put Montas in there. So since technically he pitched across the 5th inning there when the Yankees took the lead, he became the pitcher of record, pitching into 1 out into the 6th, and then they yanked him. But for his 1.1 innings of work, he earned a win. So is again his lone Yankee appearance there for the season, which is just unbelievable. He pitches one and 1/3 inning, gets a win, and that's what the Yankees paid his whole yearly salary on, just for that one appearance there. So hats off to the Yankees on that one. Again, of course, he had the off-season surgery to start the season when they didn't even diagnose he had a shoulder problem during the entire off-season. So this is one of the other follies that has been going on with this organization again over the past couple of seasons. Frankie Montas. So thanks for sticking your head in the door for a couple of minutes there. So to the final game here, where Yankees were really never in it, down by 5-0 by the end of the 5th inning, and then of course with a couple of runners on, DJ and Judge, kind of Fluff knocks them in with a 2-run hit there. Brings the Yankees a little closer for 5-2, but that would be it. And the Yankees getting bested by Zach Greinke of all people, coming in at 1-15 and an ERA about 6. But the Yankee offense really wasn't able to do anything against him. And disappointing a little bit for Michael King because he'd been on a good roll there. Again, had the 2 strong starts in a row against Arizona and Toronto, but gave up a couple of home runs in this one. Even Johnny Brito, who's been pretty good out of the bullpen, gives up one other as well. So Yankees pitching surrenders 4 home runs in the game there. And the Yankee offense not able to do anything else. And they got to take the final game as a loss, a whimpering loss, by the score of 5-2, which was kind of duplication of the Saturday night win, which is a 5-2 win, now a 5-2 loss. And the game itself, Zach Greinke, longtime veteran pitcher, might it be his final game. If you may recall, he actually came up with the Kansas City Royals and then bounced around baseball a little bit with Arizona, Houston. Even the Yankees were talking about maybe getting him at some point, but he always had that problem where he had an anxiety problem, so he could never play in a big city or any place like New York or Boston that was eat him alive. So, the Yankees did have interest in him very early in his career, but obviously he just shied away. And now it looks like he come full circle again, possibly through his last game. So for him it was a win, and coming home to Kansas City where he first broke into the league. So again, full circle there for Zach Greinke. So yeah, I got nothing really bad to say anything about Zach Greinke. Anyways, he's kind of one of those guys that had talent, but again, just kind of this whole thing where he couldn't pitch in any high pressure towns like Boston, New York, Philly, like that, where the fans are locked in and rabid, and if he has a bad start, they'll kill him. And he would probably just melt here, so that's never happened. And I remember one game with him at the old Yankee Stadium when he was a good pitcher. He came in the first inning. I don't remember what year it was definitely at the old stadium, but he just got lit up. I remember that part about him, and this is part of the thing where he just knew he couldn't pitch here there. So, so that writes the book there on Zach Greinke. And of course, after the game, the final out, Judge was sort of sitting there, instead of just going right into the clubhouse, he kind of saw him a little bit, looking at the field, and he's probably thinking things over and trying to soak in this moment. I'm sure he's like, hey, I never want to feel like this again, so hopefully he takes that sort of that bitter pill with him and, helps drive him during the offseason and going into 2024. Now, they did go over to his locker, and he kind of had some interesting comments. Now, he strongly backed Boone, said he's a good manager, he communicates well, he holds guys accountable. If somebody's out of line or does something wrong, he calls them to the office. So Judge was very heavily in favor of Boone coming back. Now, they haven't announced anything either way, and if you may have heard, with the Mets, Buck Showalter announced he's not coming back next season for the Mets. Now, I don't know if that's Buck quitting or the kind of the Mets, since Buck's a classy guy and he's a veteran manager, maybe they were going to fire him, but they went to Buck and say, hey, look, we're not going to fire you and give you that indignity, but if you just want to announce on your own that you're not coming back, we'll do it that way, just so at least you can hold your head up a little better versus you getting fired, which is always a negative. So, they probably extended Buck that courtesy. So right now there's been no official word given about what the state of Boone's going to be. Boone expects to be back, but Judge kind of gave him a little extra shot in the arm, saying yes, Boone's the right man for the job for this one. The Cashman one was interesting because when it came to that fire Cashman night a couple of Fridays ago at the stadium, Judge was always like, no, it's on us, the players. We got work to do. Look at us, the players. Get mad at us, the players. So almost saying kind of deflecting off Cashman a little bit. This time around, a little bit different, where he wasn't as enamored as Cashman coming back next season as he was with Boone. Boone's definitely cut and dry. You see what it was. But Cashman was just kind of we'll see how that works out, which is kind of well, you're not saying you don't want him back, but you're not exactly going out of your shoes to endorse him. So that's a little weird situation there by Judge. But he also had a couple other interesting things that saying, obviously he said he wants to meet with Hal and Brian, but mainly with Hal almost as soon as possible, almost as soon as next week to, find out what they need to do to get the ship right for 2024. But he did kind of mention the analytics and saying that some of the younger players might have been messed up with that. Now, Judge mentioned that he filters out the analytics, so they might present him with some numbers, but he kind of self-determines on what numbers he should follow, what numbers he should have followed. Now, he didn't get into the weeds of what he actually meant, what type of stats he was talking about, but he did reference that, for example, Oswaldo Cabrera, who seemed to take a little step back this season, might have gotten too into the analytics and swings and stuff like that, which kind of messed up his swing, which makes sense because he was good for the Yankees when he came up last season. This season, not the same type of play, a bit of a disappointment. Again, he was kind of a slash hitter, occasional home run. Last season was great for the Yankees. He could play almost any position. This season, all right, he can still play the defense, but the hitting was not as close as it was last season. Again, he's a guy that Judge mentioned that might have fallen into the analytics a little bit as well. Someone like Anthony Volpe. Again, a little too much there where he's hitting close to 200 there. So Judge seems to be someone where he's presented with stats or something like that, and he kind of looks at it and says, well, I'll make my own determination. And able to filter that. Maybe that's why some of these young guys got all this thrown out of whack. So, hey, look, it kind of makes sense if that's the case. And as mentioned earlier in the episode, Hal Steinbrenner is going to do this deep dive, looking at analytics of all sorts of stuff for this team, getting trades, how they're doing things, and kind of getting an assessment of, what do they need to look at, versus they not need to look at, are they looking at the wrong stuff there? So some kind of interesting comments there by Aaron Judge. So that's the season. It ends there. Very disappointing. I remember opening day there against the San Francisco Giants. Judge is the captain, just signed a new contract. It's an opening day home run. Everything's going great there. Cole with a strong start. And the Yankees kind of really, they kind of fell a little bit back, second place, third place, like that. But you're like, yeah, don't worry, they'll turn it around. And then next thing you know, by June they're in last place, and you kind of, all right, but they're in last place. But again, it's a tough division. It's only 8 games back. They just get on a hot streak. They'll get going there. And of course, you have the Judge falling through the wall there in the Dodger Stadium, hurting the toe. He's out for 50-something games there. And again, the Yankee offense around him never able to pick him up, and should have been the excuse because even without Judge, they had a relatively soft schedule most of the time. And just the Yankee, offense was just anemic, terrible. That pitcher was bad too. They had a lot of casualties, such as Nestor Cortez, because Rodón is out for a while. And then, yeah, great, you get a perfect game from Herman, and then a week or two later, he's off the team for personal problems. So this is a bizarre season. It just never clicked in. They never really got that momentum going where you get everyone going on the same page and you get a good, strong run. We were all waiting for that hot streak to come. It just never came, unfortunately, for the Yankees, and now they fall short. And on the outside, looking in and watching other teams having fun. But again, at least the best thing I guess you could take away, and I kind of broke this down in the recent YouTube episode of Garrett Cole, some of the numbers he put up. So you're definitely probably looking at an American League Cy Young Award win for Garrett Cole. So that'd be, it's a personal accolade, doesn't really help there. And of course, the Yankees finishing at 82-80, and you don't have the indignity of finishing under 500 with, this type of payroll and the names on it, which would be a complete embarrassment. But it's embarrassing enough to be even under 90 wins with this Yankee team. So that's the episode. So again, there's still a lot more to go. So I know the Yankee season's over, but Section 420 Talkin Yankees isn't, so a lot more stuff to go. So if you're listening, wherever you're listening right now, make sure you subscribe, get notified. New episodes will be coming out. And again, hop over to the YouTube channel and subscribe there as well and cover all the bases. Catch you very soon.